Were you happy with the way and the manner in which you came back into this contest? Can you explain why?
No, because what we did in the first half, in the first 20 minutes, is nowhere near the level. So to do it after is too late. Yeah, we reacted, great, but the standards in those 20 minutes was unacceptable.
What do you put down to that first opening 20 minutes? Can you explain what they are? No?
Yeah.
But you got a reaction in the second half, at half-time. So what did you say at half-time to your players?
It's about action, no reaction.
Was it the emotion attached to what happened in midweek? Maybe why your players, you feel, weren't on it in the first 20 minutes or so?
Then you don't have to be fighting for trophies, because when you fight for trophies, you might win it, you might lose it, and then it's another one, and that's it. So that's the level that we have to ask ourselves. You know, you just accept things, and in my opinion, not acceptable.
Not accepting things, but how hard then? How much weight is on these players to win something, to have that mentality to overcome all of this?
It's not to win. It's that you have to be. Nobody can promise that you win. They cannot promise you do what you want, you go in the market. Nobody's going to promise. You're going to have 6, 7 people just praying to be in Champions League first, and then see we can win a silverware next season. That's it. It's not about that. It's just doing the basics, the simple thing that you can dominate. I'm not asking anybody to dribble 2 players, put it in the top corner. Never going to do that.
What reaction then are you expecting from your players to see in the next 2 remaining games that you have? Because the game against Newcastle is so important for you.
Yeah, the action that we had after those 20-25 minutes, and especially in the second half. That's what I'm. Not me, them. It's not about me. Ask him. It's not about that.
How much more then, if it's not you? How much more can you get out of that group of players because your standards are so high?
No, my responsibility. That's when the team plays like this. That's on me. 20 minutes, yeah, that's on me for sure.
Are you suggesting then that the players perhaps aren't at the level that you want them to be at, if it's not down to you?
Today, no, and it's not about the players, yeah? It's about we. It's not here, players, manager, nothing. Nobody accepts those standards, and they will have to be nowhere near. What we did in the second half, with all respect, with all the things that we have to be in the position that we are in, 15 points, I mean, it hurts. It has to hurt a lot. Well, regardless of all the excuses, and it's the 6 times we play with 10 men, 6 times this season. And all the injuries, we have half of the team, half of the starters not starting. It doesn't matter. Still, look what we can do when we are there. So that's it, that's the standards.
Okay, no, I've got a couple more to ask, if that's possible. When you say about the standards then, is it about the emotions, how your players deal with it emotionally during a match?
No. It's about that we respect the game in a manner that we plan and we have to do, that's it.
Well, that was an extremely strong reaction from Mikel Arteta there. 15 points has to hurt, as you do, suggesting the players aren't hurt by it, or?
You could see he's obviously had a tough week, and let's face it, he's had a very tough season with what's happening with what people say about him, to win a trophy, trying to win a trophy. If we do get something off from Newcastle and beat Southampton, it'd be the 3rd season on the spin that we finished 2nd. And, judging by that interview, it just felt to me like he's just, with everything that's happened up to this point, that first half and how slack and how lax it was, it's not acceptable for him. His standards are high, even though we're out of everything, apart from the Champions League. He wants to see them finish strong. He didn't make excuses about the injuries, didn't make excuses about the sending-offs. He was just disappointed in the way that they started. And this is why he's like he is. This is why I'm delighted that he's the manager, because he will never be satisfied. He won't take that kind of performance in the first half, and I'm sure he'll let them know. And what I'm hoping, Steve, is that the summer, because we missed it out the last summer, is that he makes the kind of signings that will come in and reiterate everything what he wants from his team, whether it's goal-scoring players, defensive players, whoever it is. Ideally, we can get some goal-scoring players, but he just needs to now, him and Andrea Berta, bring in the kind of players that can really take him to that next place, because what he was saying about that first 20 minutes sounds to me like he's just absolutely fuming. I've not seen him that bad in an interview before in respect of how angry he was. He was steaming.
Certain Champions League. I tell you what, Wright, it sets up next Sunday when you and I will be in these seats for Arsenal, Newcastle, knowing that if they get over the line, that's it, with a game to spare. Yeah,
because there was a time, especially in the first half of this one, Steve, where I was very worried about the physical state and the mental state of the team. I mentioned the tough week that they've had. Must be very tough for them then to come into this game. You could see they weren't quite themselves. The amount of spaces that was left, and obviously Liverpool going 2 up. But I think at half-time, like I mentioned, he needs to get them going, because this could be embarrassing otherwise. And they did it again. They showed remarkable grit again and going into that mental reserve, what they did, and pulled it back out of fire. Because I think the Newcastle game is going to be a tough game. They're very buoyant up there at the moment. They've got great momentum. It'll be a tough one to go up there and get anything. But going up there now, knowing that you only need a point there maybe, and then you've got Southampton, which we're hoping that they probably beat, it's a lot easier. They do need a little bit of a break in respect to games for me in what they've had to achieve over the last few weeks. So that was a good result in the end, Steve, I think, going to Newcastle, like you say.
Yeah, because they are running on empty. We saw Trossard pull his hamstring.
Yeah.
Marino is obviously now suspended as well for the Newcastle game. It's all hands to the pump just to get over the line.
It is, and one of the things that's quite annoying to hear is you don't really hear the manager talking about the injuries too many times, but people talking about Arsenal regressing this season, and yeah, we have. I think from a points tally, we've regressed from scoring goals as well. You have to say we have regressed in the way we've played, but the points tally isn't the same. But when you look at the injuries, you have to see that has made a major dent in what Arsenal are trying to do this season. And still, Arsenal is still fighting for second right at the end of the season, going deep into the Champions League. They have to take something in respect of the way that those players who have been fit have tried their very best to get there. And unfortunately, it was just too much in the end. You can see our bench. Our bench, you can see there's nothing coming off the bench. There's nothing come off the bench for a couple of months now in respect of someone come on and change the game. So I think they've done unbelievably with what they've ended up with in respect of a squad.
Yeah, Michael, to put it into context, when you have such a low like they did in the week, not getting the better of Paris Saint-Germain, and the physical demands today to go away to that atmosphere and the home of the champions who could play with freedom, 2 down, to get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The physical demands are great, obviously mental ones as well. But I think when you get to this stage of the season, you're not necessarily playing against lesser teams whereby you might go 2-3-0 up, and really you only have to push yourself for 50, 60 minutes to get 3-0 up, and then you can coast. The next day you don't really feel the effects. When you're playing against the likes of Paris Saint-Germain or Liverpool, you're having to push yourself for the whole 90 minutes. They're tough, really tough games. So and they're coming thick and fast. But listen, if they finish second in the league, semi-finals of the Champions League, I know Arsenal fans might be a little bit disappointed, but it's a very, very solid season.
Brilliant. Indeed. OK, let's speak to one of their heroes in that comeback at Anfield, Gabriel Martinelli, who got things going after 88 seconds of that second half. Gabby, well done for coming out and speaking to us and after that result. I mean, what a start you gave your team at the start of the second half. What was the message at half-time?
Hello guys. That we needed to do better in the second half, and yeah, we started pretty well with the goal. We knew that we could beat them. Of course, we didn't start the first half well, but at half-time we talked and we just went to the second half with a different mentality, and yeah, we did it. Of course, we wanted to win the game, but we take the point here. It's never easy to come here and play against them.
It's 8.5 years since anyone did that from Liverpool at Anfield when there were 2 goals to the good. So well done. But how much did you have to dig deep to get that comeback over the line?
I mean, it's never easy to come here and play against this team. We know how hard it is, but we know our qualities as well. We know what we can do. Of course, it's been a difficult week after the game against PSG. We got disappointed, but we have to move on, and we came here with the mentality to win the game.
Gabby, how you doing, my friend? Unlucky this week, but fantastic today. I thought you was man of the match for us today. I just wanted to say, Gabby, in respect of your mental, how you feel mentally, going in at 2-0 down and then coming and getting a result in a game. But we kind of need the result because of Newcastle. Where did that come from, Gabby? What was said at half-time? Was everybody shouting? What was it like in the dressing room?
Legend, you okay? It's always good to talk to you.
I love you, my friend.
I love you too. You know how it is to play for this football club. We never give up, and this is what we talked at halftime, that we couldn't play the same way that we did in the first half, that we could do better. We just stick together, and we did pretty well in the second half. In the beginning, we just scored the goal, and we just went for it.
Nice one.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal, fair play to them, second half. You're thinking, I thought that could go on to be sort of 3-4.
They had to really dig deep there, didn't
Yeah, I mean, getting the early goal helps, of course it does, but Liverpool just took the foot off the pedal. But it must have took a lot considering what they've been through in the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've lost 3 games in a row. Then coming to Anfield, 2-0 down at half-time to get something out of it. And if it would have been 11v11, I'm not sure the exact time that Marino got sent off, but I think if it would have been 11v11, I think Arsenal probably would have looked a more likely team going forward to actually win the game.
79th minute.
Thanks, Dave.
I didn't want to come in, but I didn't want to interject.
Do you agree? Were they the more likely side at that stage?
Yeah, I think there was growing confidence in that second half. I think the tactical tweak, putting Martinelli down the centre, Trossard a bit more to the left, and they just grew in confidence. I think you don't want the season to fizzle out, and they made sure that didn't happen. I mean, you don't want to be embarrassed here. I mean, it's like Jamie said against PSG, it was a tough one to take, so they was looking for reaction, didn't get in the first half, but in the second half they did.
Certainly a really good start for Liverpool. Arsenal seemed to have a lot of the early possession, but Liverpool just had the cutting edge.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool sort of get through them with the ball here, but I thought Liverpool's counter-attack in the first half was devastating. But Saliba, it's really interesting, Saliba. I'm a massive fan of his. It's my position. I think he's out of position there initially. He should be covering Ben White for that reason, if he needs a little bit of help. And this is where I want to see real leadership, more from Saliba.
So he's the one who's got to organise there, isn't he?
Like, to get run out and check where Ben White is, he's not at right back. You must know he's behind you. And they leave that space because they're a little bit all over the place.
So quick.
It does, but if you look at Carragher in the centre as well, Skelly can deal with it. When he sees the two in front of him, can he get across and just help his teammates out? And I know it happens very quickly, but he's the one who can organise it because the other two are out of position.
And it was a big setback for Arsenal, clearly. They're 2 down 87 seconds later.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really well-worked goal from Liverpool because we talk about jumping a lot in football, and when the ball comes in the centre park here, Liverpool players everywhere, and then the ball goes out wide. The inside run from Conor Bradley, so it's very difficult to decide with the defender whether to go or whether to stay, and then you get the pullback, which is perfect. But just look on this angle here, the run, what Conor Bradley does, it opens up the space, and now they have to drop. Lovely pass from Salah. Szoboszlai, he sees it, and it's just a lovely little cross across goal, and then he just finishes it off. I think it was really well worked goal that was. It was sort of reminiscent of a Klopp side a couple of seasons ago, the way they went on transition. And yeah, in that first half, they were unstoppable.
Yeah. Listen, great start for Liverpool. It's a brilliant goal. As I said, I think all season that's been a feature of the play on the counter-attack. But I think just going back to, I was looking at Saliba on the first goal. He's not great on the second goal. And for me, I think he is one of the top centre-backs in European football. I've got no doubt about that. And as a partnership, him and Gabriel, as good as anything in the Premier League. I think Saliba's the better player, but I think Gabriel's the better leader. And he needs to bring that to his game if he wants to get to sort of the levels of what we talk about Virgil van Dijk.
So at the moment, they almost sort of need each other in that
he needs Gabriel. I think since Gabriel has come out of the team, that's not the same Saliba I've watched. The amount of mistakes he's made in the last couple of months, it feels like he makes a big mistake every game.
But is that something that does come, in terms of more experience, more years, more confidence?
I mean, how old is he now? Is he 24, 25 now?
You're asking a lot of questions, Jamie.
What I'm saying is he's not a kid, and he's probably not quite in his prime, but I'd be hoping that. So when you're a centre-back, I'd be hoping now that, OK, this guy next to me is the leader.
So 24.
OK, when he moves away, you've got to then become the leader of that back four and organise people and not just play your own game. For me, the great centre-backs, it's not about how good you are and what everything you can do. Oh, he's great in the air, he's got great pace, he's on the ball. You want all that, but you need to affect other people. Think of the great centre-backs down there. Think of Tony Adams. Think of Virgil van Dijk here. They're not just great players. They make everybody else around them look like great players. And that's the thing that I think is still lacking with Saliba. Without Gabriel, he doesn't look the same player. And that's not something you want to be labelled as. I mean, I'd be embarrassed if I was playing centre-back for Liverpool and people saying he's not the same player without him next to him. Now, we say that about a lot of Liverpool centre-backs when Virgil van Dijk's not there. But he's very rarely out, and he makes the person alongside him look like a top player. And if I'm being totally honest, a lot of the Liverpool centre-backs over the last 3 or 4 years, I think Liverpool supporters think they're a lot better than they actually are because of who they were playing alongside.
Can I just ask you, though, as the game moved on, because we talk about positioning, you was all about positioning, being in the right spot, and I played centre-half a lot of games, but mainly at right back. But is it because they're asked, what they're asked to do on the ball while they're getting into these positions? So a lot of the mistakes that you're talking about, some of them have been on the ball, the way he wants to play and sort of push into midfield at times, then he's getting caught. So on the first goal, you mentioned about him being really high, but as a coach, as Arteta, he might want him to be really high though. So are we being too critical in terms of them when they're on the ball?
Well, I'm not one of them who, there's certain people, sometimes I hear people say, oh, the centre-backs were better 10, 15, 20 years ago when I was playing. That is absolute rubbish. Centre-back now, for me, is the hardest position to play on the pitch. What you're asked to do on the ball from the goalkeeper, you're asked to be like a midfield player, you're asked to push up to the halfway line, you've got to have the pace of a striker. There's no doubt for me, centre-backs now, how good they are, they're better than what we've seen before, or they're asked to do a lot more. Whether those players of the past could do that today, I think a lot of them could, but it's a very demanding position. But But on the first one, we talk about man to man. He goes in there. There's only one man. They've got two centre-backs. Eventually, Kivior comes across and takes him. You've got to understand the game and read the game. My mate needs help. You've got to cover Ben White. He's just in no man's land again. But I don't see him sort of... I'm still waiting to see that next step of becoming a great... He's a top player. He's got everything you'd want. But to make that next step of being alongside those people I'm just saying before, Tony Adams in an Arsenal shirt, Virgil van Dijk in a Liverpool shirt, you've got to make that next step, and that is about becoming a leader.
So how did Arsenal find their way back into it, Micah, at the start of the second half?
A little bit more energy. I think Arsenal had a lot of possession in that first half, but didn't really do too much with it. And the tactical change that I mentioned here, you see Trossard on that left-hand side. Bradley goes too late. And this is what Arsenal have been crying out for, someone who can run in between two centre-halves. And when we talk about Arsenal, it's not just about getting a striker, it's about someone who can do that. If you look at the way Arsenal play, everyone wants the ball to feet. With Martinelli now, in the centre run, he will make these runs in between, and then the quality from Trossard is really good, puts it on a sixpence, and then it's just that little bit of movement in between the centre-halves and a really good header from Martinelli.
I mean, we're talking about centre-backs from Arsenal. It's not great from the centre-backs, especially Virgil van Dijk from Liverpool, because, again, you're getting obsessed with men. He's looking at Odegaard. I mean, it's a good ball in, but, I mean, if your centre-backs are in the right position, it's just like an easy
Martinelli just moves in front of him. Would you expect him to go with him in that circumstance?
Well, I just expect me two centre-backs to be in the same line, not one in front of each other. You know, basically a back four across the box, or a back three, if you like, as Conor Bradley's trying to stop the cross. But, as I said, he just got a little bit obsessed with Odegaard there, Van Dijk.
So Trent Alexander-Arnold comes on the pitch and finds himself by a whisker playing Arsenal onside for the equalising goal. But that doesn't tell the full story of this, because you've got a tremendous strike from Odegaard. You've got an unbelievable save as well from Alisson.
Yeah, it was. And... you know, Odegaard would come into the game a lot more, and, you know, Arsenal want to see a lot more of that sort of next season. But it's a great strike, a great save by, for me, the best goalkeeper in the league. And we saw one earlier on today, didn't we, between Leicester and Nottingham Forest, where the attackers taking that chance. Trent there actually just takes a little step forward to try and play him onside rather than run back in with them. I mean, we see that a lot now with defenders trying to play offside, but...
Is it misfortune rather than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we're talking inches that, you know, credit to Moreno, but...
Good movement though, wasn't it, Jay?
Yeah, listen, it's a great strike. Listen, it's great football all round. It's a great strike. It's a great save from the goalkeeper. And credit to Moreno, who's been an absolute revelation in this second half of the season with the problems Arsenal have had up front. I know he wasn't playing there today, but the goals he's got is probably kept them where they are in the league now. It
was a great save. Did it look like quite a late decision about which hand he was actually going to go with in that moment to keep the ball out?
I speak to a lot of goalkeepers, and I always ask them the question, why do you just not go with that hand? But the reason why they go with the other hand is because when it's a higher shot, it's easier for them to get the height with the hand, so that's why he's gone with that hand. But it was an amazing save. Unfortunate with the coming off the post, and then Moreno's sharp enough to get the rebound.
Yeah, his sixth of the season, and at that point, you think, is there going to be a winning goal from Arsenal to cap what would be an amazing fight back? But then it's Moreno himself that gets sent off. Yellow card in the first half. I don't think really you can complain about that.
No, it's a yellow card.
Circumstance.
And he knows it as well. Bradley does well. He takes him out. It's definitely a yellow card. No complaints on that one.
And what about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this happens a lot when a player loses the ball. They try and rectify it. And that's what it is. I think if somebody else gives the ball away, he doesn't make that type of challenge. So initially he dives in with Nunes, then he goes again because he's just thinking, I don't want to be the one who gets blamed for losing the ball in my own box and we concede a goal. And you see that a lot with people. The heads go, as I said, because they become too emotional, because they're trying to rectify the first mistake.
Arsenal's sixth red card of the season. Is that a problem, Micah?
Yeah.
It's more than any other Premier League team.
It is a problem because you need 11 men on the pitch, and I think some of them have been justified, some of them not, but today that was definitely a second yellow card.
Andy Robertson then thought he'd taken advantage of the man advantage in those final few minutes. And what a moment this would have been for him. The heartbreak.
A great moment, because he had an up and down day, did Robertson. Obviously gets the assist.
Spot the foul for us there. Is it Canate?
Canate on Lewis Skelly. I think it is there. And really good header by Van Dijk. And then he's sharp. He's alive. And was he just onside? It was
just. We think just on he would have been, but there.
Yeah, but the decision on field was a foul, which is a clear foul. You don't need to push him in the face.
Oh, and Robertson's moment was denied. There's the foul. You can see it right in the middle of your shot. And there was Robertson. Thought he had his moment, crushed away. But we can get his reaction. Let's find out what Andy Robertson and the penultimate afternoon of the season. Talking to Juliet Farrington.
Contest against Arsenal.